Have you ever looked in the mirror and wondered why you still don't feel proud of the person staring back, even after everything you've been through? Do you ever feel like you've done the healing, but you're still waiting to actually feel whole? Are you tired of pretending to love yourself when deep down you're still trying to believe you're worthy? If so, this episode is for you. Welcome back to Chasing Stability, the podcast for the in-between, for the moments when you're not quite there yet, but you're still trying. I'm Mackenzie, and today we're talking about a topic that I've struggled with all of my life, and maybe you can relate. It's that feeling like you're always looking at others and thinking, you're so amazing, or you're so loved. And it makes me often wonder, shouldn't I love myself by now? And if that's you, you're not alone. We live in a world that tells us self-love is the goal, that it's the key to it all. Healing, wholeness, finding the life you love. But what happens when you've done the work, or at least most of it, and you still wake up wondering why you don't love yourself the way everyone says you're supposed to? That's a tough one. So let's just get right into it. I don't know when exactly it happened. Maybe it was the third self-help book or 10th podcast episode I listened to about how the way to gain everything you want is through self-love. That's it. Just love yourself. Two words that are everywhere nowadays. Mugs, t-shirts, Instagram captions. But the truth is, self-love isn't a destination. It's a relationship. And like any other relationship, it has good days, bad days, and some days that feel like you're barely hanging on. I felt like I was behind in my self-love. Have you ever felt like that? Like loving yourself was something you were supposed to graduate into somewhere along the way. As if one day you'd wake up, look in the mirror, and the mirror would just start talking to you like you were in Snow White. And it's saying, congratulations, you love yourself now. You've done it. We treat self-love like a finish line. Like once we hit a certain level of healing or therapy or journaling, we expect to arrive at this magical place where we just glow with confidence and never ever doubt ourselves again. And I hate to break it to you, but that's bullshit. And asking, shouldn't I love myself by now, is really just another way of saying, why is this still so hard? The truth is, we all have days when self-love is hard. We compare ourselves to someone we know who seems like they have it all together, or we look at ourselves and we never feel like enough. Personally, I feel it all the time. In relationships, in life, like whatever it is I'm bringing to the table, it's never enough. And I could always do more or be more, which brings me to my next point. Something that I don't believe anyone ever really wants to actually admit and have a real conversation about it, and not just in an ironic way with your friends. And it's the thought that we don't always really like ourselves. And some days we don't even know how to try because we were raised to think our worth was based on how we look, how productive we are, how many people want us, how well we hide our emotions, and the list goes on and on. So to me, it's no surprise that loving ourselves feels so uncomfortable. We've spent years shrinking to be liked one way or another. It's hard to suddenly overnight expand our belief and say, actually, I am enough. So many of us were never taught how to love ourselves. And I believed early on, and maybe you did too, that being loved by others was way more important than being loved by myself. So now when I try to love myself, it doesn't feel natural. It feels extremely awkward and uncomfortable, and honestly, sometimes fake. For years, I internalized messages that said I wasn't enough unless I was something more pretty, more thin, more intelligent, more athletic, more successful, more popular, more dominant. And on the outside, I would verbalize these ideas for myself to hide who I really was. I would say things like I didn't care about anything to hide the fact that I probably cared more than anyone could have ever imagined. Or I'd say I was mean in hopes to scare people away from thinking I was weak and could be messed with. I'm extremely sarcastic, but I'm not a mean person. So when I try to look in the mirror now and say, I love you, it feels shameful because for so long I tried to make myself into something I just wasn't. So many of us have tried to change for someone in our lives, whether it be for a parent, a friend group, or a relationship. We've all been there. And it's usually related to not being enough. Or what I mean is, we don't feel like we are enough in their eyes. I have this memory from when I was in 7th grade. I believe I was 13 at the time. And the guy that I was just like totally in love with looked me in my eyes and told me that if I had my best friend's face on my body, I would be every guy's dream girl. I'm sure as a 14-year-old boy, he was clueless to what he had just created in my mind. But from that day forward, I was convinced that if I didn't have my body, no one would like me. No one would think I was pretty. It shook my world and caused me to have eating disorder tendencies for a very long time, well into my 20s. But when I finally started to heal from this idea that my body was not everything, breaking that mental cycle was challenging. And it felt like I was lying to myself when I'd say, I don't need to worry about not having abs, because I had believed it for so long. And it still creeps in every now and again, trying to take its stand back at the forefront of my mind. Self-love isn't a destination. It's not a badge. You don't earn it by achieving inner peace by age 27. It's more like a rhythm. Some days you're in step with it. It's natural. You feel confident and whole. Other days you're stumbling and skipping beats trying to just get through. And that's okay. We romanticize healing as this straight line of growth, and that goes with any kind of healing. But it's not. Real healing is slow, it's boring, and sometimes it's really, really ugly. Self-love isn't always soft and aesthetic like we see on social media reels. Sometimes it's leaving people who make you question your worth. Sometimes it's setting boundaries with people you still love. Sometimes it's eating or feeling all the things the world has told you are too much. Sometimes it's crying at 2 a.m. and still choosing not to text your ex. Sometimes it's messy, lonely, and very quiet, but it's still love. I've spent years trying to prove myself to people, especially in relationships. I remember getting into a situationship and bending over backwards to be perfect. I wanted to prove I was the one they should choose. So I was constantly performing, being agreeable, always there, and always available. And then I realized I didn't even like who I was becoming around this person. That's when I recognized I wasn't improving. I was just trying to prove. When you operate from proving, that's rooted in fear. But improving comes from love. Now I move differently. I improve for me. I wake up and take care of myself, not because I need to rub it in someone's face, but because I want to feel proud of how I show up in my own life. I'm not proving I'm lovable anymore. I'm living like I already am. Loving yourself doesn't mean you never feel broken. It just means you choose yourself even in the brokenness. I can tell you right now, I blocked someone for the first time in my life this year, and it was the hardest thing I've ever done. I'm sure some of you can relate, but I don't block people, and I never have, because I'm someone that if someone truly needs me and it's serious and I'm the only person they can get a hold of, I'm going to be there. This is the first situation that I've ever felt like I couldn't be there for them and be there for myself. In other words, if I was there for them, I would be disrespecting myself and my heart and honestly just my overall healing. It might be the first time in a breakup situation that I put myself love above the love of the other person. So let me tell you something that I wish someone would have told me a long time ago. You don't have to feel lovable every day to be lovable. And you don't have to fully love yourself to deserve kindness, good people, and real joy. You're allowed to still be learning how to love yourself. We probably all are, and still be worthy of love from others. And let me just talk about love for a second. Not the self-love kind that we're talking about, but the romantic love kind. When you start really loving yourself, the kind of love you're willing to accept from others, that changes so much. Because love, real love, is the bare minimum. You stop entertaining people who breadcrumb you. You stop accepting apologies without changed behavior. And you stop confusing chaos with chemistry. And all those things that used to keep you in those same patterns, chasing love, begging for attention, proving you deserve it, they just don't work on you anymore. Because when you finally love yourself, even if you're just starting to do it, you realize love isn't something to be earned. It's something to receive. If someone can't meet you there, they can keep it moving and you can find better. Not because you're being mean, just because you know loving yourself and staying true to you is more important. And that's when everything changes. In the past, a lot of my relationships have made love feel like pure chaos. And I'm not saying I wasn't a part of the ways it got there. It's just a different mindset to be able to look at a situation for what it truly is and be able to move on for your peace. Because truthfully, we all have parts of ourselves we're still making peace with, whether it's from 2 weeks ago or 10 years. No one is ever going to be perfect, and neither are you. But the goal was never perfection. It was just to show up. So if you're asking, shouldn't I love myself by now? My answer is you don't have to, not every second of every day. You just have to keep showing up, keep trying. Stop blaming yourself for not being perfect or where you thought you'd be. Because even asking the question, that's a sign of growth. And here's the part we don't talk about enough. Discipline is a major part of self-love. I used to think self-love was all about making me comfortable, bubble baths and big goal affirmations. And it is those things, but I've realized more recently that it's more often going to sleep when you want to doom scroll or saying no to something that you know is going to drain you. Waking up and moving your body when everything in you says stay in bed. Keeping promises to yourself when no one else is watching. Self-love is getting up and brushing your teeth when you're too depressed to move. Self-love is deleting the number you know you'll want to call at 1 a.m. one night. It's doing the boring stuff, the hard stuff, and the shit that sometimes really hurts. The most loving thing you can do for yourself isn't just hype and comfort yourself. It's building a life where your habits reflect your worth, not your wounds. That means the truth is discipline isn't punishment. It's proof you believe in a future version of yourself and your will to fight like hell for them today. So maybe today loving yourself looks like something super small, drinking water before coffee, or maybe trying not to spiral when someone doesn't text you back. Maybe it's forgiving yourself for not being over it yet. Or maybe it's speaking kindly to your reflection, even if it makes you wince just a little bit. I'm not even close to being the representation of someone with perfect self-love, and I will never pretend to be. Because I know deep down that I will always have to work on that journey and that idea that I am enough. But I truly believe that growing with God will bring me closer to that day in and day out. Loving yourself isn't a one-time decision. You're not an accident. Your worth isn't up for debate, even on the days you feel broken. I'm proud of you. Be proud of yourself. You're not behind. You're not bad at healing. You're just in the in-between. Between who you were and who you're becoming. Between old patterns and new ones. Between doubt and confidence. And here in the in-between, you are worthy of love from others, sure, but more importantly, from yourself. So eat the cookie today, or buy the outfit you've been wanting but you haven't bought because you think it's too expensive. Do something for you that will make you smile and feel loved and cared for. Because if you can't do it for yourself, how is anyone ever going to know how to do it for you? If there's someone out there that you know needs to hear this one, please share it. I would also love for all of you all to subscribe so you get all the updates on when the next episode comes out. Please follow us on social media too if you don't already do that. This is Chasing Stability, and I'll meet you in the in-between next Tuesday.